quite simple. If a person is a victim of a crime, it doesn't matter when the crime was. If you are a victim, we will investigate it. It's as simple as that. We are as interested in historical offences as we are in recent offences. And I don't think there should really be any differentiation between either. In relation to all of these points, I think that I've explained it to the best of my ability off the top of my head in relation to the process. Do you have any questions in relation to the process itself?
Yes. You said that when it was done by video,
yes,
that the victim wouldn't see the person who had offended, but can the offender see the victim?
Yes.
That might bother the victim.
Yeah, look, I agree. However, in a situation where the child witness is sitting in a remote witness facility, they're not confronted by that person seeing them then and there, and we have a common law right to be able to face our accuser. So it's important that the accused's rights are protected as well, and that the accused has the right to see that person.
Do you know what percentage of offenders are actually convicted, because of the nature of evidence?
No, I don't. I can say that I saw something in, I think it was The Age yesterday, the day before, in relation to percentages. However, I didn't. I don't recall what they were, and I can't comment on the.
A common, like there are studies done overseas. Less than 10% is accepted widely. Less than 2% is also quoted quite often. Would you think that it was as low as that?
I wouldn't have thought so. I certainly wouldn't have thought so. No. Yes.
When a child gives a statement,
yes,
who is the victim other than the officer taking the statement? The parent, do they have a choice of whether or not they have somebody with them and who that person might be?
I might ask Jonathan to answer that question. I'm not a qualified member to take their statement, which is the video and the audio recorded evidence. Jonathan is a qualified member. I might ask him to answer that.
Just in relation to that, as Scott well said, the parent obviously needs to give permission for it to occur, and
what if the parent is the perpetrator?
obviously that's a consideration. In that case, obviously we would that would be a consideration in terms of how we would actually approach the whole thing. So if the parent was potentially or alleged to be the perpetrator, we wouldn't be doing it in such a manner. With regards to another situation where the parent is not alleged to be the perpetrator, the parent wouldn't be present in the actual interview, because obviously that may influence what's said and what's not said. But the parent will be in the immediate vicinity. Because obviously it may be difficult for the child to disclose the parent.
Scott, are you going to touch on mandatory reporting?
I wasn't as such. However, in the event that an incident is reported to a doctor, a teacher, who else is there? Nurses, social workers and police, the reporting of the offence must occur.
Not social workers. We can talk about mandatory reporting.
Look, I can really only speak about the fact that we receive reports from a number of different places in the community, and any report that comes to us is treated exactly the same, whether it be anonymous or whether it be directly from the victim themselves. Obviously, in relation to anonymous reporting, it can be very difficult to determine how to approach an alleged victim, especially depending upon the manner in which the information is provided to us. And we have to be very careful about the way in which we elicit information from a person, which may be seen by the court to be prompting or providing them with information rather than obtaining it from the person. We have to be very careful about how we go about doing that. Yes?
With all the people mandatory reporting, does that also include an employer?
Don't believe so, no.
No?
We'll touch on that in our presentation in relation to who's mandated and who's not mandated.
So just to be quite specific on it when it's your turn. So if you're an employer who hires somebody to work with children and then you have an awareness that they are behaving inappropriately, then are you then obligated to report that?
There's a difference between mandatory reporters and duty of care.
Duty of care. Okay.
And what you're talking about falls under a duty of care. Right. But we can talk about that a little bit further in our presentation.
Yes, sir.
Just interested from your experience and not from a procedural thing, the difference in approaching or how you view a child as opposed to a historical case. So you've got someone who's come in who's 35 years old. How does that play out?
In some ways, it's easier to deal with a historical matter because children, children are children. It can be quite difficult in talking to a child and eliciting information from them because often they just don't understand what's happening to them. It's a real difficulty, and I think, and again, this is just my experience and matters that I've dealt with in the past, and certainly not talking across the board. Children, especially young children, can find it extremely confronting to tell anyone about that type of offending, and especially if they don't understand it. It can be some time before they do understand it, and by the time they do understand it, it can be very difficult to, at that point, make the report. They may consider, well, who's going to believe me? The person that is committing or has committed the offences on them in the past will often be someone very trusted, someone very close to home, and there's a lot of confusion.
I used to work in child protection, and I have supported children who are giving bank statements. And I have to say that the expertise of the soccer people in the interviews are amazing. They really are. But the children are, then, when I was working there in 2005, children are asked at the beginning, do you know the difference between truth and lies? And they're asked the same at the end. And it's really, the onus is on them to be not lying. And it's quite, I found that quite negative. That the children are the ones who have to be the honest ones, if you know what I mean. And the system requires it.
There's a legal requirement for that.
Yeah, I know.
Essentially, when a child is asked about truthfulness, the difference between the truth and the lie, and their understanding of that, it's the same as when an adult person provides a statement to police and they're asked if they understand that telling a lie is essentially perjury, and that they understand the penalties of perjury. It's essentially eliciting or getting the same promise from a child, but in a child's words.
Yeah.
As long as they understand. I mean, a child might say to you that they know that if they tell a lie, or that if they haven't told the truth, that they might get sent to their room, which to them is a serious punishment. It all comes down to the perspective of the person giving the statement.
Any further questions? Did you want to continue?
No, I'm done. We actually, I do apologise, but we have commitments back at our office that we have to attend to. So if there are any further questions, just quickly, I'm happy to answer a couple of them. Yes.
Establishing a historical case. I mean, obviously, things which have just happened, you can make all sorts of examinations and
Yes.
forensic. How is it when you're establishing something which would have seemed to have occurred in a private context?
Yes.
20 years ago? What kind of standards are? How do you reconstruct the situation?
Look, like I said, there are numerous avenues of inquiry that are available to us, and it comes down to the standard of the statement that is taken from the witness or from the victim, and that's where it comes down to our professionalism and the hard work that we have to put in to ensure that we take a quality statement from a victim and ensure that we include enough information for us to pursue further avenues of inquiry to corroborate that. I will say that in certain matters there are no ways to corroborate any of the information that have been provided to us. But having said that, that doesn't mean the matter won't proceed. We have to make a determination at the end of the investigation as to whether the matter will proceed or not, and that will often be a determination by the Office of Public Prosecutions or the officer in charge of the unit. But have no fear that every single matter that gets reported to us we pursue to the nth degree, and I can certainly say that Moorabbin Socket is probably one of the most professional and hard-working units that I've worked at in my time in Victoria Police, and the efforts that the members go to pursue those avenues of inquiry are quite extraordinary.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.